So I do Sundays with Rev Jen, and I wanted to go live today. It's been a fun day with being a mother of four children and having time with them. I did see you, but I wanted to. I decided instead of just pre-recording Sundays with Rev Jen, I wanted to go live with Nikki because there was a very important moment we had today, and I want to bring you into this world. And so I'm using him as an example of why this work is so important to do. And the work that I am talking about today is shadow work. So, Nikki.
Yes. And somebody said that it was echoing. I just want to get one more confirmation and then we're going to get all the way into it because I do not want neurodivergent people, audio sensitive people
Oh,
to be
yes.
triggered and
Please let us
irritated.
know if
Just
it's
one more time that my feedback is good, that my audio is good, and it's not echoing. Yes. One more time. Just an emoji, thumbs up, heart, smiley. Yes. Yes. Okay. We're good. All right. So,
okay.
yes.
Now he
Interview away,
feels
darling.
good. Okay, so
Thank you.
this morning, and thank you for the double taps, thank you for the shares, bring more people in. If you have not met us together, we are Janik. Yes, we are husband and wife, and yes, we are in the same room right now. And we have Janek Solutions. If you've been with us for a while, we work on emotional and spiritual intelligence. Both of us are certified emotional intelligence life coaches, and I am an ordained minister. And I have got the opportunity to study with many medicine women and men around this world, including shamans and um, just medicine people. I think is a great answer because all of us have those in our ancestry. So, with that being said, I practice and I work with clients every day and have the opportunity to bring emotional and spiritual intelligence together. And one of those ways that I do it is through shadow work. So many people ask me, like, what is shadow work, Jen? I don't understand it. And what it is, in my perspective, we actually talk about shadow work in psychology and spirituality. You can hear the term used in both directions. In psychology, it is, in my opinion, the same thing as spirituality. Often we find that science starts explaining what we've always known spiritually. So I'm just going to give an example by using you today of what shadow work can look like so you can actually
Yeah.
feel it and see it. So today I walk in and Nikki is
I have developed a new technique that I'm not releasing to people because
he's practicing it before he
I
is.
figured out something really profound that some of you it might sound obvious, but I've figured out a way how to tap into it. So from what I've learned recently, we carry imprints, right? A lot of us are on this journey right now where we understand the concept mental health,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what a lot and some of us know right now that are watching about nervous system regulation and what that means. Some of us are in middle ground, some of us have no idea what that means. We're all in different places. If I were to explain this to a child, when something happens to you, your body almost takes a picture and it can almost get caught in a certain way or trapped in a certain way in that age, in that time period. So for example, one of the things that I was working on is this belief that I need to be right. So, a lot of us right now, what we're releasing is, for example, this is what a family's supposed to be like. This is what society's supposed to be like. This is politically what's supposed to happen. This is what my bank account is supposed to look like. Things that might seem like they are the right thing. The problem with this is that when we live in this kind of environment and in this kind of mindset, we control our reality and we limit who we are. So a lot of the people that you personally look up to, you look up to them because they had the correct mindset when they went through challenging situations and they were able to navigate through that. So I'm learning how to go into, I'm noticing because I've learned how to talk with my body and talk with my emotions. And again, I'm not yet releasing this, but when I have it fine tuned, I'm going to release it to people only for specific people who've already been doing doing any kind of shadow work. And so I'm focusing on this belief of I need to be right, and I'm releasing this. I'm completely and totally letting this go out of my body. And I'm noticing in my ears, for example, drop an emoji or say yes if you get what I'm saying, or if this interests you or excites you. So my ears, for example, because of the traumas that I went through, the multiple trauma, CPTSD, they learned I can't really hear certain tones of voices. I can't really hear certain people when I was a child. And while mentally I have healed this, I've changed this story. Physically, within the nervous system, there's some kind of thing that's happening within the nervous system in the ears, just in that one body part, where the ears are saying, I need to disassociate, or I need to disconnect, or I need to receive this in a limited way. Are you getting what I'm saying? Drop an emoji or say yes if you're getting what I'm saying. And so as I'm going into these stories, my fascia, this is the circuitry that we have, my nervous system, my body is emotionally releasing these stories that are imprinted in my body, in my psyche. And so as I'm doing this, Jen comes into the room and sees what's going on. And I've only been doing this for a little under a week now. And I've been doing this more in a personal solitude space so I can figure it out, because God just gives me the messages, right? And she's watching this and she has a question about what's going on, because our day's been running for the most part smooth so far.
Yeah, so I walk in and I see what looks like he's crying. And I was like, what's going on? And he's like, "Oh, I'm just doing a thing. I'm just releasing something right now." And I was like, "Okay, well, I had to actually walk away at that moment because I don't know, something was going on with one of our children. My mother called, and I knew I couldn't give him my full attention, but I also wanted to hold this space for him because could see he was working on something, but I also could feel how there was a bit of still being stuck. So I knew I was going to have to hold space for him. So I go over and I come back with my coffee and my little treat and I say, "Okay, I'm all yours. Let me hear what's going on." And he goes, "Well, I'm releasing this story of having to be right, like he was just telling you. And it's this cool thing that I do. And, I'm just releasing the story." And I'm like, "That's cool. Um, but I'm interested where the roots are to the story." So in shadow work, we go to the root of the story. We don't just look at the surface information. We have to step in to where your nervous system first learned that this is truth, this is safe, this is bad, this is wrong. And we've been teaching in the integration room, if you're part of our classroom. Last week we were working on discernment, and I believe when we do our shadow work, this is where we discover our discernment. This is where we know our truth versus what we told ourselves when we were younger, or what society and our parents told us,
Right.
because we do need to take accountability here as young children. If some of you have children, you probably see this where you say something to them and they say, "Well, you hate me, you're so mean." Like, say you're grounding them, right? Do we hate them as parents? Are we really being mean, or are we protecting them? That is the perspective from the older version of ourselves and the younger version. And last night, and so the Saturday night and Wednesday this week, we had our live 2-hour class inside the integration room where we're talking about how to parent ourselves. And I really believe shadow work is a huge piece of that. And so that's what this month's class is about. There's still 2 more opportunities. If you're part of the integration room, where you're a VIP member, you get this class completely free and it's on our calendar. So back to with Nikki, I'm sitting with him and I'm like, "Well, let's go back. Let's go back." And so I want to kind of relive this with them so they can go along with you. And
And tune in, because this is actually right now, this is a free thing that you can actually consider and take with you into your life. And there's different ways. Again, what she mentioned before, in our profiles, there is a free class that we have, but you can also, if that's not your thing, or if you're in a different space, you can actually listen to what we're talking about,
this is
and
free
you
right now.
and you can convert this into your life. And so I basically, there's different memories that
Well,
are
let's hold on. So let's go where I if
Yeah,
you were my
specifically,
client, I would be
specifically,
doing the same
yeah.
work. And so we're going to use Nikki as an
So
example. So I asked you,
yeah, you
what
what
was
was what was what
what
was
was
the
the
memory?
memory that
And
first came up?
so there's this random memory that's floated around my mind. And it's basically, I was around 3 to 5 years old, and I'm outside in our backyard, and I fell asleep, and I woke up, and I'm on like the dirt, sand in our backyard, and I feel safe. I consciously acknowledge as a child, as a very young child, that I'm safe. There's no threats. And I'm looking around and I see these flies, and I'm looking as a child. It's like I'm 3 years old, right? Like everything's fascinating. And so I'm looking at these flies and I see the colors. I see the blues and the greens and the wings, and the sunlight is there. And it's just like whole experience. And as this is happening, my mom, that I recently have discovered, if you've never met me, or if you haven't seen me on here for a while, or if you haven't heard this, my mom last year passed away, and I found out a lot of information, that there was a lot of lies, there was a lot of manipulation. And if you've ever been in a healthy relationship and you grew up in an unhealthy environment, your parents will not know what to do when you are in a healthy space, because they're so used to sabotaging and doing passive aggressive things. Yet I digress. And so what I was able to track down is, my when I went into the house, I was in a space of being 3 to 5 years old, and life is beautiful, and I'm innocent, and I'm naive. And then undiagnosed neurodivergent, by the way, my mom, undiagnosed neurodivergent, wasn't a thing that was really talked about back in the day because of conditioning, which is a great psychological phrase to do research on, conditioning that was going on. And so I go into the house, and I don't remember the exact conversation because I'm young, and it wasn't really important in cognitively for me. And so my mom's telling me to do something. She's telling me to do some kind of chore. It could have been wash the dishes, it could have been take out the trash, it could have been pick up something. And so when you're neurodivergent, or just as a child, when you're focused on something, when you're playing, when you're happy, when you're in a flow state, when you're in a space of love, and then things change, what happens when you're a child is you say, what does this say about me, instead of even considering what bills are, what money is, what relationships are like, what it's actually required to run a family. And so
You're running ahead here, sir.
so
You were
so
only supposed to. He
so
gave you
so
the dream,
that's
so
that's that's the
he
that's the
gave
basics
you
of
the
it.
vision, and
But
it. I hold on.
yeah.
No, you're. This is my show right now,
Yes.
right?
Ooh, love that. Okay, go ahead.
Taking charge here. So he wants to teach. Today's not about him teaching. It's me teaching. We're using you as an example.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Love that
So
analogy. Yes.
I also want to recognize Teen here who said, "Who remembers when they were 3 years old?" Because when you
Oh,
were telling a story, he just told you a memory he had, but not everybody actually does, especially if there was nothing really like major or important showed up at that time of your life. Like for me, I specifically remember being 3 years old. I was only 3 years and 2 weeks old at that point. My baby brother was born, and I have a specific memory about needing to have a specific jacket. I needed my coloring book, and I needed I had a little red suitcase that had all my crayons and everything in it. And I remember seeing my brother for the first time. It is a core memory, as they call it. But you're correct. Not everybody
right.
remembers something from 3 year old. What Nikki is talking about today, this is going into the shadows, right? He is asking his body, like, when was the last time I remember being happy and safe and centered and knowing myself? And this is a memory that came up. Being in his mother's yard, being in her garden, playing with the flies, the dirt, remembering his mom calling him in. And that's kind of where he's like, so I'm letting this go. Like, I recognize what that feels like, and I'm bringing that back in too. And I said, that's great and dandy, but we need to go in a little deeper here. I need you to walk in to wherever you walked into and said, like, okay, mom, what's going on, right? Why is mom calling you in the room? And why is this the last moment you remember being fully happy without anything else? What shifted? What changed? This is the shadow work. This is where a lot of us don't go into the next moment to get that question answered. So, when you answer me, just tell me what you answered me, nothing else, no teaching here, because we're using you as the
Yes,
example of teaching.
absolutely.
So, and this is
Yeah,
why
see,
perhaps it's
maybe
usually,
you can tune in instead of making assumptions just because somebody lied to you. Maybe instead of calling me a liar, you can forgive the person who lied to you, where you're projecting that I'm a liar, and just listen instead of making wild assumptions.
you can do whatever you want,
Because
T.
my yeah, absolutely. Just be respectful, right? Because I'm a human and you're a human, and
Well,
in real
what
life,
Nikki's
calling me
saying,
like going after character doesn't make any sense in
what
this
Nikki's saying
conversation.
right now is he's vulnerable and he's telling you something that came up today.
Yeah, if
Just
this isn't your cup of tea, you can scroll away, or you can be open. You can just be open. You can just hear where this conversation's going, because I know what I know. And if my energy doesn't align with yours, I get it. It's Sunday night. You don't have to connect with me, but I'm glad that you're here, and I appreciate you being here. I'm not judging you. I don't have time to. It just doesn't make sense that you're calling me a liar.
yeah, and we don't even need to
Thank you. I
address it.
appreciate that. All right. So the question. Thank you. Thank you. Community
So
human. I
he,
appreciate that.
the reason Nikki is reacting this way is because there's something very specific coming up here, and it is vulnerable, right? I think all of us can slow down and connect when we're actually dealing with our emotions and actually dealing with past pain. You feel vulnerable. So right now, T is saying something that just made his ego come up, right? Because he is still working through this and
Correct.
it's
It's
very
fresh. It's
vulnerable.
fresh. Yeah.
So I don't feel like you were disrespecting. I think he was seriously saying like it didn't make sense to him,
Yeah.
right? But it also makes sense with your reaction. So we'll leave that on the table and leave
Yeah.
that there.
Because I grew up in a house full of liars, and so that's
It's your
it's
trigger
good.
word,
Yeah, yeah,
it's not
yeah. So
his.
you got me. So in this space, you're actually a teacher, and you got me. So I appreciate that. But yeah,
Yes.
moving forward. So
So
the
the
question
question
was,
is, so he remembers all the happy parts, right? And he's saying he's bringing that memory back in of what that feels like. And I think many of us as children, maybe you can't go back all the way to three, but I bet you there's some type of core memory. I hope there is. If not, that's also where I can hold space for people to go into those spaces and realize not everything has been bad. But for Nikki, this was what came up for him. So the next question is actually part of the scary part of this when we discover these moments, because what stopped that? That's what's truly coming up right now in his soul of what stopped me from coming back to that moment, what got my attention that day, and and what made me like feel like I never could fully go 100% into that world again. So what was your answer of what you remembered, just the
so
beginning, don't go further than that.
so again, to recap, especially if you're just hopping on. So what we're talking about is shadow work, and how to again use spiritual intelligence, to use psychology, to use neuroscience, to rewire, to reprogram, to reinterpret our existence, things that are factual, things that are provable. And so I have this memory, and it's floated around my mind, where I'm in my backyard, I'm a child, and I'm taking a nap, and I wake up, and I know that I'm on the ground. I know that I'm safe. I'm in nature. I'm just like a kid playing with the dirt, and I see these insects, and I'm acknowledging them, and I'm looking at them, and the sun is warm, and so I connect with that. So my mom is diagonal from me, and there's a sense. And again, I can't remember all the details. I can remember fragments of it, similar to you, if you've ever recalled the memory, or if you understand how this works. And so my mom is diagonal to me, so I move forward. We had stairs. I go up the stairs, and I go into the house. And the next piece is, I have this feeling, because that was a conscious imprint where I was safe. I then have the emotional feeling, or the understanding in some way, shape, or form, as a child. The story that I said is, I have done something wrong. There's something wrong with me. And another way, maybe you've heard this before, I'm not good enough. I'm not doing enough. I'm a disappointment to people. So I have in this memory which I haven't really focused on until Jen brought it up, and this is what she's saying, is that this is what she does, this is her specialty. So
So
I have this understanding in some way, shape, or form. I've disappointed somebody that I love.
I wanted him to stop there at that moment. And this is psychology, right? This is where we slow down, because how many of you have said, why does this keep happening to me? Why do I always pick the same relationships? But how many of you have actually slowed down to actually answer that question? This is how you answer these questions, because again, your nervous system remembers things that happened, and it remembers like the incident. So right now what we're talking about is the incident instant ugh.
Oops, I did not, Lyes. I did not mean to invite you. I'm just going to mute T because you're just wilding. You're looking for, I don't know what you're looking for.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.
He's also distracting you.
All right.
So
Yeah.
with that being said, again, this is where we slow down, and we're going to slow Nikki past this part because he's already into I'm a disappointment. This is where we have to go, double down and go, is that a fact? Is that true? Okay, so let's look through Nikki's eyes. I tell him when I'm looking through his eyes and looking at the perspective, I see him walk in the kitchen. I see his mom telling him he forgot to do some job that she asked him to do, automatically feeling like he's a disappointment, right? And I see a sibling walking by him and giving him a little smirk, like, haha, you're in trouble. Also, now affecting Nikki. He keeps walking. The other parent just kind of shrugs and walks off. So, all the symbolisms, because Nikki is already telling us that he felt like a failure, that he did something wrong. So, he walks out of this magical moment of being in the garden and feeling inspired, connected to Mother Nature, to loving everything that's out there, to I messed up. So, this is where we take that little man, right? And we go, hold on. We have a new perspective, little Nikki. Let me introduce you to Dad Nikki,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now, Dad Nikki, his wife over here, will call in the boys and go, I know you have been told this. I know your mother has asked you several times. When you help clean the house, when you do your chores, you are part of a community.
Yeah.
This is self-love. This is, you being a part of the team, right? He has had these conversations one way or another, right? But little Nikki over here needs to meet Big Nikki,
and
Daddy
and, and it's
Nikki.
and it's really, it's also really physically for those of you that are tuning in. What we're talking about is how you can spend years going to therapy or connecting with practitioners, and they go into the mind, and you're like, okay, I mentally get what's going on, and I have the right mindset about this situation so I can move forward. Not enough people talk about the imprints and the stories that you physically carry, and how those stories stay in your body, and how it's almost like it pulls strings inside of you, and it makes choices before you even realize.
Yes. So I remind him of this, but I said maybe your mom did not have the information right then to explain to you why she was frustrated.
Right.
And I said, I want you to look at me as a mother, right? He has my back in every way, and he wants me to be able to find time for myself and be able to rest. And he tells our boys all the time, like, if you only knew how hard your mom was working to make sure that we have food on the table and that everything works, consistently, from meals being planned to getting you to soccer to running a company and having 4 children, taking care of her husband, and also taking care of herself, I bet you would do more. And so I then said to Nikki, imagine your mom now, who that garden you came from, right, was made by her.
Right.
She made that beautiful garden. The yard had a certain vibe because mom took the time to create that garden, right? When she came in and, let's say he forgot to take the trash out. That's what scenario we came out to, right? Let's say he forgot to take the trash out. Why might mom be frustrated Not thinking you're a disappointment,
Yeah.
not thinking you're horrible, not thinking you're a failure.
Right.
Everything little Nicky told himself because he didn't get an explanation. Why would mom feel frustrated at this moment because you didn't take the trash out?
So this is and this is where I'm light diet teaching coaching. So not all the way. Okay. So because like I think context is important for people.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get education on how the child version of us takes the steering wheel. We do not get education on the story that our brain says. We accept being angry. We accept swallowing sadness. We accept pretending that we don't have anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
We accept working really hard and never appreciating the lives that we have. We accept being irritated at our neighbors, at people on social media, and we never realize that all of that is actually protecting happiness and joy and love. And it can sound cheesy or weird because of how much conditioning there is around how you're supposed to perform. And
Mm-hmm.
so what we've learned and what we're talking about is there is an understandable way to move forward with things, and you must know mind, body, and soul why you are making the choices that you're making. So to answer Jen's question, when I'm young and when I'm in a space of I'm happy and I'm flowing and I'm playing, and then I go
And
inside,
mom's, Nikki,
and then
come
somebody
here.
and then somebody
Nikki, you didn't put the
yep,
trash
and
out.
then somebody and then my mom speaks in a certain way, and then because
I have to do everything by
I'm born with my
myself.
mom's nervous system, I'm born with my dad's nervous system, I'm born into these patterns. I automatically go into a space of I can visually see that this person does not look happy. Mirror neurons are watching what's going on. And so I go in there and I have this feeling that I can't put into words. And here's what I can realize now as an adult so that we can release this imprint out of the body, so that we can create a different neural pathway when it comes to money, when it comes to health, when it comes to relationships, and when it comes to just personal sense of purpose and well being. And so, to answer your question, instead of feeling frustrated that I disappointed my mom and all the undiagnosed neurodivergence and all the other missing pieces,
Which was
it's
unknown.
it's unknown, and so it's very simple. When I, as a child, and if you're a parent watching this is what you can explain to your children, especially if you're a single parent, especially if there's been divorce, especially if there's been any kind of trauma. So when I, as a child, take out the trash, well, let's go to the negative first. If I
I'm
don't,
going
if
to explain the positive, but I want you
yes,
to
to
step
break down the
in
negative.
of, yeah, like why you were thinking, like, just speak what you were actually feeling today when you were looking at it before we brought up the other perspective.
When I was looking at it, I was looking at it from a space of there was a consistent story growing up that I wasn't good at doing chores. There was a consistent story that my mom needed to help me because my other parent had incredible levels of anxiety and control. There was a feeling of like there was me, my brother, and there was my two moms raised by two women, raised by lesbians. And so there was this feeling of I would hear consistently. My memory growing up is everybody in the house feels displeased by my lack of doing chores, by the way that I do work and the way that I do things. And the parent, the mom that I had that wasn't genetically related to me left. And in my mind as a child, she was the one that was the most in my corner. And so the overall sense that I had as a child, as much as I had joy and I had love, there was a deeper sense of I'm a disappointment. I'm burdening people with the choices that I'm
How
making.
many of you relate to that as a child that you felt like a disappointment? Let Nikki know that right now. Let me know that. I can say a lot of times I felt like I was disappointing people and I wasn't enough. How does that feel familiar for all 80 people that are in here right now? Raise your hand, give an emoji, say yes. Let me see how many people relate to this right now.
Especially if you're tired right now, especially if you're lying down in bed,
Most of
because
them
I
are
know
saying
it's
good
early.
morning, so they
Love that. Oh,
are,
and if you're overseas,
yeah.
good morning to you. Nice
This
to see you.
I
Glad that you're
definitely
here.
relate. We got
Feeling
exclamation
like you're not
marks.
good enough, feeling like you shouldn't talk about your experience, feeling like you shouldn't say certain things, feeling like you can't be visible, that you can't be bright and lights. Yes, in some way, shape, or form, I'm burdening you with my authentic existence. Yes.
So I'm going to say this to you just as much as I said it to Nikki today. Your parents were doing the best they knew how to do during that time when they didn't have psychology, they didn't have explanation, they definitely did not know about mental health or how important your mental health is to your physical health, your energy. I mean, everything. Mental health is connected to everything. And we have the science behind that that explains it. But as Nikki said earlier, where he didn't have the words, mom did not have the words either. Maybe your dad did not have the words either. And it wasn't passed down. This is part of that generational trauma. So when we go into the shadows here, which I had to do as well, and when I was hearing his story, this is where I learned how much shadow work helped me by going into these spaces and now bringing the older versions perspective into the story. So I have caught myself several times with my children when something goes wrong and saying, "How can you do that? I can't believe you did that. God, this is so annoying. Now I have to do this. Now I have to do that. Now I have to do this," right? But when I slow down in that moment and go back into my inner child and I look into the shadow here, I remember what that felt like on the other side. And this is where I began to blame myself and say I was the problem. Anybody else relate to this or give us some hearts, maybe some roses if you also connect to that. Let's see how many of us have this story in common because more of us are alike than we are apart.
And I will say, I'll put a little bit of tinfoil on right now, going into tinfoil conspiracy mode. It has been conditioned and programmed for us to think that we're not good enough. And so we now have the tools. We have neuroscience, we have psychology, we have technology where we can share information and knowledge and shift these beliefs because we actually want to go into these stories. And I want to encourage you, stay in this conversation. Make sure you don't scroll away because I'm going to share something with you that I don't think you know about really successful people and really powerful people that you are one of, that could actually be blocking a lot of your success. Because without, I'm giving you like the trailer to the movie, I'm not going to give it away. When you discover what I discovered in this situation, it's not just that I upset somebody. There's a deeper story. This might heal something within you. And again, you can connect with us in different ways, and also go into our bio and join our classroom called the integration room, where you can really do a next level deep dive. So let's keep on unpacking
So,
it.
yes. So, again, this is what happens psychologically to a little child's mind when they don't get explanation. So, I asked Nikki to imagine this, and I also want you to imagine. You mess up, say you didn't put the trash out, you forgot to do your chore, or you turn your homework in late, something went wrong, and your parent is now frustrated with you. They are now going off of you, and all you're hearing inside is, "I'm a disappointment." I want to say this to you in a way that your parent could have spoken to you, or how you can now speak to yourself because you do have that opportunity. I want you to imagine your parent coming up to you, and we'll just use the example of the trash right now. "Hey, you forgot to take out the trash, didn't you?" And we'll have Nikki respond as you right now.
Yes.
I want you to slow down for a second and I want you to understand why I might be frustrated. So, why do you think I'm frustrated right now?
As a child,
Yeah, you're responding as little Nikki
as a
and everybody else's little version.
as a child, it's that I didn't do the thing that you told me to do.
Yes, that makes me frustrated, but I want you to understand why it makes me frustrated. Because do you think it's because I don't love you?
No.
Do you think it's because I think you're a horrible person?
No.
Do you think it's because it didn't really make me believe you? I'm going to ask that again. Do you think you're a horrible person?
The Where my mind went to, the childhood version of me would probably say I feel stupid that I didn't do it
And then I want
correctly.
you to say that out loud because
Yeah.
do you trust me to say those
Yes.
things? Okay.
Yes.
So that right there.
Love how she can tune in. That's why you book sessions with her. That's why you join the integration room, because she really does it. She can really see it for real, for real.
So with that, I love you no matter what. I think if you have understanding here of why it's important that we take the trash out and why mommy's giving you that responsibility because she trusts you so much, I want you to understand. So you want to hear more?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Imagine if we all had this mom. Like, really, like, see if you can visualize if you didn't do something correctly, and
Yeah, I'm
imagine,
talking to your
because
little child
this
right
can
now. So,
literally rewire your neural pathway. Like, this can really, if you're really tuning into this, like, really imagine that you had a healthy mom who gave you this kind of
and I
context.
am literally talking to your little child right now. I'm not only talking to Nikki's little child. Bring your inner child up, and I want your inner child to be part of this conversation. Now, we're all imagining we didn't take the trash out and you were just called to talk to your parent now. What if I, as I just said that, right? I'm calling you, come here right now. We need to have a conversation. What just happened to your nervous system? Check in.
Some people are scrolling away because they're like, this is that your brain
I
telling
don't
something
really
wrong
care
with
about
this.
the people who are showing. I'm
Tune
asking for the
in.
people that are here right now.
That feels
When I
good.
said, come here right now, we need to talk. What just happened to your nervous system? Tell me honestly. Nikki, what did you feel? Come here right now. We need to
It's
talk.
it's in this area, right, where anxiety can
Does it
live.
feel heavy? Does it feel like, uh oh, what did I do?
There's shock, scared. There's a feeling of I need to perform, I need to do some kind of action, I need to
And
do
what
some
if
kind of
I
thing.
told you that if a boss comes in and says, "Hey, I need to talk to you for a second. Come here."
Yeah, that's
Are
definitely.
you all automatically assuming this is going to be negative?
It's interesting with trauma because, side note, when I was an Uber driver, I used to be fascinated in 2016 when I was an Uber driver. I used to be fascinated by who would watch for the sirens when ambulances or police would go by, and the people that I pick up in the quote unquote nice neighborhoods, they didn't give it attention because they knew they
Wow.
did nothing wrong.
Wow.
That used to fascinate me. Like, yo, like every single time when I go to Beverly Hills, when I would go to Venice Beach, when I would go to like nice neighborhoods, the people that were going to the airport, the people with money, like they're woo, woo, nothing, no eye
Okay, before
contact.
we lose them,
I'm
let's
just
bring them
telling
back,
you, it's
right?
psychologically
So we're
interesting.
having a talk and we're imagining you forgot to take the trash out as a little child.
Yep.
I am the healthier mom going to talk to you right now to help your nervous system. So the first thing I'm going to say to that part that is going, we're going to have a conversation. And I want you to again identify what you're feeling right now without knowing what we're going to talk about other than you forgot to take the trash out.
It's a good opportunity to heal that
Check in with your
anxiety.
body. This is somatic work, right? We check in and we're like, wow, that really freaks me out. Wonder if your boss is calling you out and going, guess what? I just wrote you $1 million check.
I'm going to give you a promotion. There's something good for you,
Right?
and you're thinking you're in
You
trouble.
were in trouble the whole time and now you don't know what to do with it, right? You might even think it's fake, right? So this is why I want you to stay with me for a second because it's not about trouble. It's about learning something right now. It's no different than when were learning to walk and you fell. Someone wasn't going there. Oh, you stupid little child. You should know better than that. We don't fall. We learn how to walk right away, right? No, that's not how this works. So, if you had a healthy parent, the healthy parent would say, yes, I'm frustrated. But do you think it's because I don't love you? Nikki answered, no. Do you think it's because I think you are stupid and incapable of anything?
That's where my brain went to, and what's wild is just genetically knowing that my mom had a humiliation wound, and I just genetically just that's where the brain's like, you know what, you need to respond how your mom would respond. You need to think that you're stupid. It's interesting,
That
right?
is interesting.
My
So,
mom had a huge humiliation wound. Whew.
right? So, the answer is no. I want you to think about why I might be frustrated that the trash wasn't taken out. Give me your first answer.
Because you're doing other things and you're busy.
I'm doing other things and I'm busy. Okay. So how does that affect me in the long run? So
I'm
let's
gonna
say
enter. I'm gonna answer as a half adult, half child. So
no, I want everybody to
you
get
want the
into the inner
you
child
want the
right
inner
now.
child. Okay, all right, we can do that.
Yes.
Okay, so what? So the question is why are you
Why
upset?
would I be frustrated? What you just said, well, you're probably doing something. Right. Okay, but let's actually pull up the scenario why the trash
I
would
know
bug
as an
me.
adult now, but the child version of
We're
me wouldn't
teaching
know,
them.
would not know,
That's what we're
would
doing
not
right
know.
now.
The inner child, because I just get access to him. He's amazing. He shows up sometimes in these live streams. He's like, I don't know.
Okay, so let's say I was just cooking dinner for the family. And in my mind, little Nicky has done his job. He has taken the trash out, and I now have trash to go throw away. And I go to throw it away, and let's say it's tomatoes.
Yeah.
And now the tomatoes just fell out of the trash. It is all over the
You
floor.
know what? Let's go with the compost for this because I used to hate taking out the compost in the backyard because I legitimately thought like the Wolfman or aliens were going to abduct me. I used to sprint. Yo, I used to sprint. I would
Oh
open up
my
the screen
god.
door and I would sprint and I would dump it into the composting and I would sprint back so that the Wolfman and the aliens wouldn't get me
Not
and abduct
everybody
me.
had compost
Nice
as a
try.
child. You're
Yeah.
a California
Yeah, yeah.
baby
I
for
lived in New
sure.
York. If you lived in New York, if you lived in a big city or anything like that, compost basically helps for the
I
garden. My mom was into flowers
we didn't
and stuff
really.
like
My
that.
mom started compost, but it never got really followed through on until I like left the house. But anyways, this part is what I want you to connect to. If you are part of a team, which if I am asking you or I'm asking my child, right, or if I'm your mother right now and I have asked you to do a chore, we're now identifying, we're letting the younger version know that it's not because you're stupid that I'm asking for your help. It's not because I think you're a failure. It's not because I can't count on you. It's because I trust that you can be part of the team. And the frustration you're picking up on is that you didn't do your part to be a part of the team. So when I went to go throw away the trash, right? And we're talking to your younger version, and I'm your fake mom right now, and everything went all over the floor. How do you think I felt at that moment?
Frustrated.
So is my frustration really about you completely, or is it frustrated about the trash right now?
The childhood response would be 50-50, but I would want to see more of like it would be hard for me. I feel like as a child, it would be hard for me to see that it wasn't on me, but I would know logically that it was more so about the trash, the inaction. But I would definitely, as a child, as like 3, 4, 5 years old, I would be in my head.
So, Maddie said, I expected my parents to love me as an adult. I have had to figure out reasons why they didn't. So, let's look at that one. I'm going to address Maddie with this one and being your mom. So, you, young little Maddie, do you think you deserve to have all the problems as an adult right now? Would that be fair for me as an adult to give you the same responsibilities as an adult with your brain as a yeah, there we go now. So your mind is, and I get this because as a child my father would tell me constantly, you are not my equal, you do not have an opinion here, and it did not make any sense to me. And I will be honest, today I go back to these moments of like major arguments I had with him and had my opinions. And even with being an adult now and having moments where my children just don't want to listen and they're not getting it either, I get those moments now. I understand as an adult that maybe my parents had a point, but maybe also um,
It has nothing
I
to
didn't
do with
understand.
you. Like if I was a time traveler and I heard your parents say you're not my equal, I would say the sky's not purple and there's not 27 days in the
Well,
week.
see,
It
that's
has
your inner.
nothing to
That's his.
do
No, it does. That's his inner child right there,
how
right? because he's still a new parent.
Like, you're
He's
not my
no, no,
equal
no,
is
no, 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 no.
crazy.
He
Like,
hold
okay,
on,
this light right
hold
now in
on,
our room isn't purple.
hold on. Why is that actually truth in that sentence? Where are
It's a
you?
neurodivergent truth.
Where are you not equal to an adult?
I have not lived 365 days a year times 47.
So you have had less experiences.
But
Oh
what if we're talking
no, we're
reincarnation?
not talking about
No,
that.
no. Okay,
No,
all
no,
right,
we're
all right.
talking about what if,
Yes,
you know,
I
you
have
watch
less
our
experience.
children, you watch our
Yes,
children.
as a child, I have less
As a matter of
experience.
fact, we
Yes,
had a almost 16-year-old tell me what to do recently. Do you remember that?
yes.
How did you feel as the parent?
It was fascinating. It was
What was the
fascinating to
exact
watch.
word? This is mind blowing, is what he kept saying.
Yeah,
This is mind blowing that you think,
yeah.
oh,
Different. You know what the real the
no, this is
underlying
an
text
important
is. You know,
space.
you know what it really is. You don't know the pressures and the obligations and the responsibilities and the lack of support and the lack of community, and like how you're just showing up as unconditional love and wanting to spend time with me, and like I have human stuff to take care of.
Yeah, like someone said,
That's
we're all just
that's
living
really
humans.
that's really what it
This
is.
is where we go black and white, but let's talk about the gray area, right?
Yes.
Yes, my son, who recently, this is what I'm talking about when you bring that older version in to come talk to the younger version. For all of you that just got as triggered as Nikki was saying, what do you mean I'm not your equal? Don't worry, I've been there too. But when I did the shadow work here, I was like, as a matter of fact, when it came to experiences, and understanding pressures and stressors that adults go through, I was not his equal. That was the part that was not explained to me as a child. Maybe it wasn't explained to you as
Yeah,
well.
that context is so important.
It really is, right? So that's why I played on defense. But when I slow down and take away that defense and I look at it now as a mother, right? As like maybe a month ago, our son was in our room telling me what to do and how to punish our children and da 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 da.
Being a millennial parent is such a fascinating concept because it's like you're going into, it's like when you meet people who are born into wealth, they don't tell people that they're wealthy. We are learning with our emotions and with our experience to be that kind of way when it comes to not needing to be like, do you understand if you were born in the 80s or 90s what would have happened to you, like if you spoke this way? Letting go of that is the wildest experience, and not needing to like hold that over their heads. And it's this interesting sign that you're a good parent. And it's also one of the things that I've learned from Jen, who has more parenting experience. The goal, if you're a parent or want to be a parent watching this right now, the goal is balance. The goal is seeing both sides. The goal is empathy. The goal is there's your experience and there's their experience, and both experiences are a valid experience, and we want to find middle ground.
Which empathy is the fourth step in emotional intelligence. So I'll tell you, it wasn't even my own children that started teaching me this lesson. Working in daycare, as I was working on my early education degree, I got to work with children. And in daycare, you can't scream at children. You can't spank children. You can't really even put them on timeout longer than like 5 minutes.
Right.
Like, you have to use your words. So if Johnny's been smacking Susie over the head for the 15th time, you can't walk over there and say, now listen to me, you little brat. We don't do that. And you can't smack him. You can't put him in time. You can't ground him for the
Thank
whole
goodness
month.
we graduated past
Right.
that.
So
Years to all that nonsense.
working as a preschool teacher was a huge step for me, learning this lesson of like, what is the other direction we can go here? Right. Which also helped me reflect on my own childhood, as I was learning about how the different ways the brains react. Like if your parents yelling at you and you're in an alarm state of I'm an idiot, I'm stupid, I fail at everything, are you actually hearing anything the parent is saying?
No, I actually, what's really interesting is that you learn, there's a really interesting thing that I've learned recently. So especially again, if you're a parent watching this, or if you just want context in your life, so you will listen to your parents as much as they listen to you. So if you check out, that's because your parents did not give you attention or they neglected you. And what's also interesting is this is where a lot of people get stuck. If you don't heal the wound of being criticized or perfectionism, you will grow up and you will get the wildest levels of anxiety, and you'll just think that it's normal, that the house has to be cleaner, there's consequences, it has to work out this way, or it's not going to be good. Or you'll get into a healthy relationship, or you'll be a parent, and then your brain will go, what does a parent do? Oh, they criticize. And it'll show up in milliseconds if you're unaware about it.
And first of all, the part you have to be aware of is how you're criticizing yourself.
Yeah, that parent does not pay rent in your head, by the
You're
way.
and they're not even there anymore actually. They're not. It's just you. It's just you who's criticizing yourself now. So, and to Layla's music, to her point, I think overcompensation because I had a rough childhood.
It's pretty
Now
common.
my daughter thinks she's boss 1,000%, right? This is where we're finding this balance of there are things that our parents did for us, holding the line, when we're in the room saying, I hate you, you're stupid, you ruined everything. I personally love when my children say that to me now. I mean, it's not often, but I say, well, I love you, right? Because the reason I'm making a choice, like, I don't take away computers or take away privileges because I want to. I don't take away privileges because I hate them. It's literally because I am holding space for them to slow down. That was one of my favorite perspectives of timeout. Instead of thinking of it as a punishment, thinking it as it's literally time out of, like, society, time out away from whatever situation you're in, so that way you can actually process what just happened. And so many of us were never taught to go process that moment. That is why shadow work is so important, because you can go back to what you can remember. Again, Nikki's having a memory of when he was 3 right now.
And I want to, I want to,
Four,
I
I
want to,
think you
I
were
want to
more
get,
close to 4 or
yeah,
5 when I saw this,
I
but
want to get to the key. I'm very excited. I want for
okay,
you to
but
stay tuned into this conversation because when I share this, I know it's going to bring up emotions that you're going to give yourself permission to heal
yeah.
tonight, today,
And
wherever you are in the
yeah,
world.
so I was agreeing with you, Layla. Like, we're all in that together. I'm not perfect. Nikki's new to the parenting game. He's only been here for about 4 years. I don't only have my 3 kids, which my oldest is turning 16. I also have nieces and nephews that I helped raise. And I've also worked with children and studied early education and neurodivergency, with children 3 and under, but a lot of us don't grow out of that stage and move forward. But I've been working with children since I was 13 years old. I got my babysitting, CPR, all of that younger, and just loved working with kids. And so a lot of my teachings actually taught me a lot more about myself, especially learning the psychology and realizing a lot of it had to do with what I was interpreting as a fact, right? Like, even as a child, you may interpret that your parent knows everything, and because they told us a lot, right? Like, don't argue with me. Well, that's not fair. Well, it is fair because I said so. Like, all of these things we heard growing up.
Well, it's also implied too. If we live in a home and they feed us and they clothe us and they take care of things, there is, I think, an underlying thing of like the rest of the world is
Primal.
unknown. Like
Yeah, it's a primal
a lot of kids,
instinct.
like when kids do that thing of like I'm gonna run away, the lighthearted thing that and they really think they're gonna run away and they pack their little suitcase. They're walking outside the home and they're like, and then it dawns on them of like I don't know where to go, I don't know where I'm going to live, and
Depends
so
on the child.
yeah.
I tried to run away and I did not want to come back. Like, I will be cool. Like,
Yeah,
I'm a Girl Scout. I know how to start a fire. I'm good at cooking. Man, I was doing it by 7. So, like, when the first time I think I
it's
ran away when
expensive
I
to
was
get back.
like 8, like my mom was chasing after me, and I was like, please don't come and get me. She ended up leaving me out there, I don't know, for like 7 hours, and she came out and she couldn't believe I still wasn't in. I was serious. So again, it just depends on what type of childhood
Kids
you had.
nowadays are like, no, I'm going to download ChatGPT and do research
Oh, they
and
wouldn't
yeah.
go far because the Wi-Fi would be messed up.
Yeah.
That's just the truth. But like this is really important, and this is why I love my job. To like, I watch so many people just casually talk. Like this morning, you're like, oh yeah, I was just in the garden playing with flies and blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, let's go deeper into this story, because what we found when we were in there is Nikki started having the perspective of what what his parents. I said her, but I was looking at your parents at the time, but what your parents' experience was versus what your actual thoughts were at that moment. And what you were doing was recognizing your parent version now that has now seen and felt like, oh, yeah, maybe mom was under the understanding that, I provide for you, I take care of you, I love you from here to back, and I would do anything for you. But you know what? Mom needs a little time to herself, and the only
Right.
way she's
Empathy.
going to get time for herself is by you helping around the house. So, the same thing we tell our boys right now. You can have, our children are homeschooled, right? They can get up at 11 and start school if they want to. They
Imagine
can,
back in the day.
do 2 hours of schoolwork and then go out and have lunch and then decide to do 30 minutes of their chore and then come back and do another 2 hours of school. They could go for a bike ride.
Right.
They have so much freedom. So basically, we have 4 hours of schoolwork each day, right? And they can do it on and off with their ADHD, control it. It's
Yeah.
designed that way, and they're about an hour at most with chores, like checking in the afternoon and checking in evening before you go to bed, that everything's put back in its place. The rest of the day, right? If we, that's like 12 hours to, 10 to 12 hours to do whatever you want.
Right. Yeah.
So we're not asking for much, right? But again, a child's perspective is, this isn't fair. I just want to watch my show and I'm enjoying this, and you're taking me away from something that I'm enjoying. So now what Nikki is describing to you, what I am describing to you, what the shadow work is here, is you're bringing that child perspective and now matching it with your parent perspective or your older version of you, and going, oh yeah, there was some misinformation there. You know, maybe my parent wasn't mad at me, and what they were asking of me really wasn't that hard. And yes, it was teaching me responsibility. Like I tell my children all the time, if I don't teach you to hold this space, and be a part of the team, you're going to be a horrible roommate and a horrible partner out there. I was talking to them about how, many of us women get caught with people like a partner that comes in and says, just tell me what to do. Just whatever you need me to do, I'll do it. And it's like, I didn't marry somebody else to manage.
Yes.
I married someone to be my partner.
Absolutely.
So, yes, it may feel helpful when you say, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. I still have to take the time
Yes.
to slow down and look at what it is and explain what it is, right? And because your mother wasn't able to slow down and explain to you why it was important.
That led to me,
Yeah.
and I want to offer context to high vibe. We're gonna go into medium vibes, and we're gonna go into low vibes, and some of this conversation is not gonna be gluten free. I hope that you stick around. Okay. All right. So what happens when a parent consistently tells you that you're not good at doing chores, and then another parent leaves, and then there's trauma on top of
And I want
that?
to correct that real fast, because from my understanding
Yes.
with your mother, and I've heard this from many family members,
Yes.
you would get overwhelmed when you start
Yes.
cleaning. And we now know in today's time,
ADD.
Nikki has ADD, right? And so it still happens in our house today. So if I say,
Yes.
hey Nikki, your mom's gonna be coming up in a couple days. I want to make sure we get the guest room set
Right.
up, and I have quite a bit of other chores I need to do. Like I want to clean up the trash in the backyard. I want to do this, blah 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 blah. Right? Can you help me with something? Sure. He says sure automatically, like never even like, oh no, I have to. Like
Right.
he is ready to be part of the team. That part was well developed with both
Yeah,
of
we're
his
not
parents.
doing the 1950s. I'm the
But
man and I work hard, and you have no idea where that's not in style
but,
anymore.
here's the big but. If I come in and I say, okay, so I need you to go through and pick up all the trash. I need you to find any like loose clothes or anything that's missing. Here, I'm going to give you 3 boxes. So anything you find that's for the office, put it in this. Anything that you see that belongs to the door, our daughter, put it in here.
Yeah,
Anything, keep going. Yeah, that's
if
exactly
if
what's
you're
going
if
on in
you're
his
if
head while
you're
I'm
if
talking.
you're if you're like ADHD and ADD and neurodivergence have a spectrum that we are just now minimally
Yeah, this
starting
was
to
not
understand.
understood in the
and
90s or
so and
anywhere
so
back.
I can
Let
it
me finish that.
absolutely.
So and he, in the past, he's much better at this now, but in the past he would go, okay. And I'm like, great. He heard everything. I feel great about this. I'm going to go be able to get other things done. He is taking a huge chore off of my chest. I will come in, and this again, he's
The
improved, but let's say the
neurodivergent
neuro, I will
spiral.
come in and he got some of the trash picked up,
Yep.
and he, maybe picked up some of the clothes, and nothing else is done. And we're talking like a couple hours now, and I'm like, um, what do you mean what did I do? I picked up the trash, I picked up that, and I'm like, but where's your mom going to sleep if this isn't off the bed? Have the sheets been changed? Like
Yes.
all of these things, right? So this was a major part in our marriage, right?
Well, especially because again, and if you're in a relationship, this is helpful. Jen, when she was growing up, had to be the Cinderella, had to be the caretaker, had to be the
Which we
fixer.
talked about
And
that
so
moment
and
too.
so and so my experience, all that my job in my family was making sure that other people emotionally were regulated.
Well, you
Whereas
would make
in, in,
them
in a
laugh.
different way, I would entertain them. My mom would trauma dump on me. I wouldn't talk about what my brother was doing and what he was going through. I felt like I had to make sure that he was okay. Like
Yeah,
I had to I there was stuff
where if
behind the
the
scenes.
scenarios were turned around and
Yeah.
I was called in and I knew there was frustration, instantly I would hop to pick up that trash and probably do 10 more things to make sure that my parents felt like they were heard and understood.
Yes.
And that took a while too, because if you look at the younger version of me, I didn't give a flying like hoot.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
my dad, like there's video evidence of this where I'm off in my world dancing, and my brother is like walking up to the camera like this, and he's like, what is this thing? And my dad is somewhere nearby going, Jennifer, Jennifer, get your brother. And you see me turn around like, whatever. No, I'm going back to dancing. And he's like, Jennifer. Now, my adult mind is like, he is clearly somewhere near this camera, and he is the father, and he could clearly go get his own son. Why is he interrupting my dancing, right? But the younger version of me goes and gets my brother. I drag him back to the middle and just drop him in the middle. And you see me go right back to dancing. Now, that is my true, like, childlike self where I wanted to enjoy what I was enjoying, similar to what Nikki's
Yeah.
talking about being
Yeah.
out in the garden, right? But my father and my mother repeatedly, help me with this, do this. Then both parents started working 2 jobs. By 7, I was home by myself, so I had no choice but to figure it out. Nikki was in a totally different
My mom had
situation.
a major father wound validation story going on. And so because I was open at expressing my emotions, where my grandfather, her father, said don't discuss anger in the house, this created this guilt wound. And my mom not only was undiagnosed neurodivergent, my mom also had a an additional like a wound with her mom around I need to be perfect. It needs to go according to plan because like you can't see that I'm a lesbian parent because like my reverend my missionary Christian parents are saying like Jesus and God doesn't love you and that's sinful and that's wrong and how dare you. So my mom's over here overcompensating and because my mom wants to have the relationship and to have a two-parent income home, she's totally negating and neglecting her
She's
feelings and her
focusing more
emotions
on presenting to the rest
presentation.
of the world.
Yes, absolutely. And so a lot of times you get into relationships where you have polar opposite experiences. One person could be the savior, one person could be the victim. And so it's important to understand we don't get this kind of information. And in relationships, it is literally with psychology, how do you relate? So even if you're a man watching this or if you're a woman watching this, your brain will see your husband, your wife, your partner, your girlfriend, your boyfriend as mommy or daddy until you have healed this story. Yo, every single time. This is what psychology proves. I know that it's weird and it sounds like Jerry Springer. It's important for you to understand that your brain, by design, miscategorizes and misinterprets.
High vibe. There is no explanation, Nikki, to your own life and triggers. No explanation at all.
Okay. So let's play that game. So once upon a time, you're born, right? Things happen to you,
She
but
also
but
thinks I'm spoiled by
yes,
this.
yes, 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 yes. Okay, so once upon a time, you're born, your vibes are high, right? Nothing happened to you in elementary school, right? Mom and dad, they were perfect. You
Perfect
did
life.
everything perfectly.
Perfect.
Everything was always high vibrational. Like your food was gluten free before gluten was even a concept,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you had reverse osmosis water, and
Mm-hmm.
every day, like every single thing that you did in school was correct and it was perfect. And right now, as I'm saying this, because your vibe is so high, this isn't triggering you at all because you know who you are, right? And then especially when you got into middle school, you weren't awkward at all. Your fashion was impeccable. Like you knew exactly who you were. Then in high school, nobody spread rumors about you. Nobody gossiped about
You
you.
were
You
definitely
just
never
yo, you
abused.
just
No
showed
trauma.
you just showed up high vibe and every single
Mm-hmm.
person just said namaste to you and it clicked, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, as human beings, we are not allowed to complain. The
Yep.
reason why politicians don't
It's
show
just
up
the way it
is just the
is.
way that it is. And
Mm-hmm.
the reason why your boss doesn't support you is it's just the way that it is. Tupac sampled a song talking about that. We could also acknowledge what psychology and neuroscience and epigenetics prove.
Oh wait, Maddie also just brought up another one. We don't need
Oh,
excuses.
no excuses.
No
Yes. Okay.
excuses.
Okay. So
Hmm.
let's. I love you,
Another
Maddie, and
classic
I'm
one.
I'm I'm
This is
going.
all out
I'm
of
going.
love, by the
I
way.
love you. I
Like,
respect you. I'm going to go Scorpio into this one. Okay. So cognitively, I have the way that my brain thinks is different than how society's raised. Neurodivergent, ADD. I was SA'd. I'm just going to say the Disney version of it. I was taken advantage
both of
of
us have
by
gone through
by
SA
by a
and
male
domestic
by a male
violence.
family member,
Hmm.
right? And so there's no excuses about that. I'm supposed to be a man. I'm supposed to be strong. I'm supposed to know who I am, right? That absolutely does not affect my work ethic. It doesn't affect the way that I interpret my wife. There's no such thing as complex PTSD. That's just, it's not a thing, right?
Hmm.
And
It's
and
an
and
excuse.
additionally,
It's an
and
excuse. Don't say you have
additionally, yeah,
PTSD.
right. That's
That's
not
an
even a thing.
excuse.
That's just a
There's no
word. That's
such
the
thing.
word
No,
that
no.
victims use,
That's only
right?
things that military people have.
Right?
Nobody else has
Yeah,
PTSD.
absolutely. You're not
That's
allowed
an
to complain.
excuse.
You know
Hmm.
what it is
Hmm.
too? You're not allowed to complain.
You're not allowed to
Men
have feelings,
men,
actually,
yes,
too. No
as a man,
emotions. No.
actually what
That's an
this is right now,
excuse.
this is
Get it
fraudulent.
together.
This is fraudulent.
Hmm.
Men by design, when they hop out the womb, what the doctor does is he implants a computer chip because the man's a robot. The man's actually not a
Hmm.
human. Like
Hmm.
I'm not even human. I'm actually just a robot.
Hmm.
And there's a computer chip that's planted into the man. And then what the woman is supposed to do all the time is always smile and always be attractive and always meet the beauty standard that always changes and always make sure that men can regulate their emotions because men have big mommy wounds and they need validation from their dad
Oh
and
wait, hold on,
everything
hold
has to
on.
go according to plan.
So high vibes is completely correct here. I want to. It's all about how you process your experience. Now we're getting somewhere
Yes.
because it's also depending how you were taught how to process. Were you taught to process to stay inside one little box? Or were you processed to think outside of the box that there can be other perspectives and other understanding, and it isn't just the way it is? It isn't just an excuse. Maybe when you were a child and you knew that something was wrong, and you knew for a fact,
This is the biggest wound.
for
This is
a
what blocks
fact,
99% of
maybe
humanity.
you were being touched inappropriately. Maybe you were being abused. Maybe your hair was being pulled. Maybe you were getting spankings and beaten all the time because they thought that something was going wrong and it was all your fault. It could not be everything that they were going through at the time. It is simply your fault, and so I'm going to put it on you.
Or another
And
one.
that's, hold on, that is just the way it is.
Right.
Deal with it. That right there, my friends, is where the shadow work begins. When you go into that moment and you look at it with your adult perspective now, the other perspective, and you go, that child does not deserve to be touched that way, and it is not an excuse. The emotion that that child is feeling is 100% correct.
It's true.
The emotion that the adult, by the way, was having was not correct.
Yes.
The adult was stressing about bills. The adult was stressing about nobody loves me and nobody likes me, and I guess I'll go eat cheese. And you know what? My child just messed up, and that's it. Yeah. I'm done. Right. And I am going to take it out on you. Right. That is actually immaturity. And I bet you your little inner child knew that then too. So when we bring up these excuses, right? This is just an excuse. I shouldn't feel this way. You know, my favorite one is like, oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm crying. That one. Woo!
Sorry, I'm a human. Sorry, I'm having emotions.
Sorry that I'm
so sorry that I'm being honest. Mm-hmm. I'm so sorry that I'm being true. You know, society doesn't love that. My mom's wound, by the way, beyond being a lesbian parent, my mom's wound as somebody who said nothing was wrong, nothing was bad. My mom literally was not allowed to be imperfect and not allowed to exist in her authentic form.
Let me turn it around with being the mom.
Sheesh.
When my son came to me was saying, Mom, I can't take your yelling anymore. It's too much. I had two options at that moment. I could have been like, don't talk to me and don't tell me what to do. Get in line because that's just the way it is.
Right.
Definitely, definitely could have gone there. Or the mature part of me, which thank God happened, went, oh my God, my son feels overwhelmed and is telling me how he feels. And he's 100% correct because I know I don't like being yelled at. I know 100%. I have a hard time listening when someone's screaming at me. I know I have a hard time not feeling defensive when someone is screaming to me. So of course he is feeling this way, and I need to recognize why be accountable, why I am yelling. I need to go into the shadow work here and ask myself why this is even an option. When I went into that space, I realized as a child, I never felt heard. I can go in many situations, you know, let alone that I was home by myself with my brother from the age 7. Like, yes, my parents may have been home sleeping because they work graveyard, swing shift, you know, but I got up in the morning, I got my brother and I dressed. We had to walk to school no matter what the weather was. I had to make sure my brother made it to school. I had to make sure my brother didn't get beat up at school. I had to make sure that he was safe 24/7 at 7. But go back to, if you have a 7-year-old and also understand how the brain develops, that isn't actually the healthiest position for a 7-year-old to be in, right. Especially if they have to override the knowledge that they already have. Like, they're just going off of the knowledge they actually have, right? I didn't have much knowledge by 7, right? This is why an adult would be better at doing that job. But I had no choice. Many of us had no choice. This isn't about excuses. This is about what we actually went through. So when I look back at that time, my brother has actually told me, thank you for being there because I didn't feel like I had a parent to go to. I became the, that was beautiful, by the way. I became the parent, right? This isn't, again, it's not black, it's not white. There's gray area
And
here.
may I?
And hold on. I, I had to realize that my parents did the best that they could. I'm not, that is a fact. That's not an
Yeah,
excuse. That is a
that's a
fact.
fact.
My parents did what they had the capability of processing. Do you think that they, my dad spending money and making sure that he was the only one provided for wasn't on my mom's mind of why she has to work two jobs to pay for all those bills? My dad has to work two jobs to pay for those bills, but like if I need braces, sorry, we don't have money. Like, do you think they slowed down to look at those circumstances? Do you think they stopped to look at what the children's needs were, or do you think they were focusing more on their needs? My mom's choice was to take care of my dad's habits, and my dad's choice was to make sure that he was first in line to have everything done. Everyone else can suffer. As a child, I took my parents work very hard, so hard that they're barely home, that I have to take care of everything else and I will fix everything because I want them to know how much I love them and how thankful I am for them. And Nikki had to bring it to my attention as, wow, that must be really confusing, right? Of why you think you're responsible for everything when it wasn't really your responsibility to begin with. No wonder you don't know how to sit down and relax and just take care of yourself.
It's like when like a lot of what we're doing right now in this conversation is using discernment. It's stepping outside, and what we're releasing is must be nice to have this, and getting into a space
For
of,
the parent
or
that
like like
says,
like like
you think you had it
right, right,
bad,
right. And this is, and I've seen this a couple different times in this
you
conversation.
should be
This is
lucky.
this is this is a big, big, big thing. And watch this one. Watch this one. Not only is must be nice connected to neglect and comparison. Here is the biggest
What
wound
about
that could
me?
be potentially blocking you and
Mm-hmm.
keeping you from having the relationship, the money, the things that you want in your life. Here's what it is. It's resentment. It is resentment. And here's how it shows up.
That's
here's how
how it can
here's
show
here's
up.
here's how it shows up in the conversation. What I've seen
Well,
from
that
from
doesn't, that
various
wasn't
various.
mine,
No, no, no.
which
but
by
but
the
but
way
yeah,
is what
no,
we
no,
were
no.
talking
But yes,
about,
but allow,
was my
allow me.
teenager. Hold
Yes,
on. No, because you're going to confuse the point here.
I wanted to share in
I
the comment
understand that,
section.
but not everybody, there's two versions of people in the comment section right now.
Yes,
And I spoke about my son bringing to my attention that I was
yes,
yelling too much.
yes.
And I didn't finish that thought, which I don't want us to assume
You don't.
that's the way that I was thinking.
Right,
The way that I was thinking was when I went into the moment, I never had a chance to have a voice.
right.
So at some point, I got tired of that. When I was in a relationship with my boy's dad, I was tired of it.
Yeah, the people in your life knew
That's
what they were
where I
doing. That's where
started
I came in.
yelling.
That's where I came
But
in.
listen,
Yes,
am
because
I,
people knew they were manipulating you.
you're making your, yeah, I want it very clear that when I did the shadow work and I went back into that space, I'm yelling because I feel that I'm not being heard
Yes,
and I'm not respected is obvious.
correct. Yeah,
But when I went deeper, it was because I'm exhausted.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
have like, I'm working on zero battery. At that point, I had three babies leaving domestic violence. I had nothing to my name. He
Right,
promised me the world and gave me nothing. He gave me nothing but bills. But in my world, my children were not going to go through what I had to go through. They weren't going to have to parent themselves. And I was going to find a way to get that done. So when my son's saying you're yelling is scaring me and it's making it hard,
yes,
he made me take a true look at myself. Do I need to yell at my children? And if my children aren't listening to me right now, is it because they don't care?
no,
Is it because they don't actually hear me? Or maybe it's about the way that I'm communicating, right?
right.
So you, right, are telling your perspective. And there I've told you this, like, especially when I look and work with other clients, your perspective is actually extremely rare.
Well, what I was saying to
There's more
clarify, what
people.
I was saying to clarify is in the comment section and with the men that you dealt with, there's a feeling of my life has to be hard and so does yours. You didn't receive empathy from people, and people knew that you were tired. People saw you being exhausted.
There, the people you're responding to right now, there was two people I saw put comments like that, like you had it lucky. They are saying that because of the same reason I was yelling.
Yes. Fatigue.
Because they are exhausted, they are tired, they've never been shown another way. There has never been another example of what other way there could be. But what I'm trying to bring to all of your attention right now is the way you've been doing it is the old habit. It is the old pattern. It is the generational trauma handed to you, plugged into you, and saying, hey, this is just the way it is. You think you had it bad, look at this guy,
Right, shame.
right? And you learned that that was truth. What I'm telling you right now is that wasn't true. When our parents seem jealous, right? It's really because it's connected to a deeper wound. It's connected to the part of, I wanted that too. I was thinking about this concept the other night when I was looking. We have our daughter, she's 18 months old, and my youngest boy from my previous relationship with their dad, he's 11 when she was born. And so there's a gap. And I was scared of this gap. I was really worried about this gap because my dad was putting in my head, and other people, like, wow, you're awfully old, wow, you're going to start all over again, you almost had him out of the
Crazy.
door, your boys aren't even going to know her, like she's just going to be a complete stranger, like they're going to be on two different spectrums. These started weighing in my heart as facts, right? But
Yeah,
I
the
will tell you
wild things
now,
that are
I'm
outside.
on the other side now. These boys adore her. Like right before we came on, I heard her screaming, I stopped everything, and I was just got finished recording a video, and so I make an announcement. Did I hear her screaming? Instantly, the boy that's on the other side of this wall, I know is our middle son, drops everything. He's in the middle of the night playing Fortnite, and he drops everything and goes out, runs out there because she's screaming, right?
Yeah.
And then my other son makes an announcement. Well, I took her juice away and she's not too happy about it, right? Okay. But like these boys were arguing with us when I said I'm going to hire a nanny or a babysitter to come in when we're doing work because I don't want them to feel responsible
Jen's an
because
amazing mom.
I was the parent kid, right? Like I had to help raise my brother, and I don't want that on them. And they sat us down and said, absolutely not. If you're going to pay anyone, please pay us, which understandable. But their other argument was, I don't want a complete stranger raising her. Like, we know what her needs are. We want to be there for her, and we can just trade off. Like, if you guys have to work 3 hours or something, we'll just each take an hour. And that way she has comfort. She's at her home because they also remember it. I sit and watch them and I'm like, they're going to become amazing fathers. Like, they she's got her wrapped around her little finger,
Seriously.
but at the same time there's safety, there's comfort. And I look at what they had to survive. My children all have CPTSD because of the trauma from the decisions I made, which as a single mother for a long time, I carried that guilt. Like, I made the wrong choice. I should have taken care of myself so I could be there for them. But I look at my three young men, because I made the choice to leave, because I decided to end this pattern, and also know in my heart that there is a better way, because we all went through therapy, because I, looked into my shadows and said, I need to learn how to do this too. I have three boys who can communicate their feelings, who can stand. I mean, our he's 12 now. When he was 10, he came in one time and he's like, if so and so's friends call from up the street, if their moms call, just can you just let them know that I need a break? Everybody's fighting. I noticed I was becoming the fixer, and I realized that I was trying to regulate everybody's feelings, and I'm also really realizing that's not my job. If they don't want to communicate, that's up to them, but I need to step away and I'm going to relax. And I was like, I wish I knew those words at 9. I wish I knew how to step away and realize I didn't need to fix everything. But that is a direct response for me communicating to them, for teaching them their boundaries. And that is what we call breaking that chain, right? I do a percentage, they do the next part. And now we see a little girl who is communicating clearly. She's happy. Even when she's having a moment, right? We say, "Hey," that's all we have to say, and she
Yeah.
goes, "You're right." And she takes deep breaths. We say, "Well, let's have patience," and she goes, "How many of us had an 18-month
18,
old that
18
can do
months.
that?" So this is why I'm talking about shadow work. With Nikki today, we were able to go into that moment and we were able to see this part where he's beating up himself. He sees that, but let's go a step further. Let's bring the older version in. And he was able to see, oh, mom was maybe overwhelmed. Maybe I could have taken the trash out before I went and laid around and did nothing, right? Like, how can
You're muted. You're muted. High vibe. High vibe. I just want to pause and I want to say something. You learned that you have to be a good person and be a positive person, and you're passive aggressive. I'm just going to call you out. You're passive aggressive, and all of that resentment that you're carrying from thinking that you're doing the right thing and being a good person and shaming a woman who has CPTSD that went through situations you would not have the capacity to understand. Your covert narcissism and spiritual context wrapped around in that because you didn't have a space to actually process. Muted. Bye.
and what if you see
What a
someone
weird thing
else.
to project to a powerful woman who would bend over backwards for you if you actually had respectful boundaries.
Yeah, if you see someone that is projecting what they think is happening to you, right? Let that let that be for a lesson for everyone to know that they see something in you that is aggravating something in them, so they want to put it on you. If High Vibe could slow down and realize that there are moments in her life that felt really crappy and really bad, that there was actually a lesson behind it. If I go in and I see where, I was going through domestic violence, and I go back and I see where he threw a vase at me and it broke right in front of my 5-month old's face and almost shattered all around him. It somehow, by some miracle, went around him. When I see the moments where he would take the bottom of the dishwasher rack because it wasn't put incorrectly and thrown at me, you know, I see that. When I see the moment he tried to literally take, I'm not going to say the rest of it, but tried to take away everything, right? When I see that moment and I see how I had to protect not only the baby in my belly, but also the baby that was just drinking his bottle and get the man out of the room, when I look at those versions of myself, what I realized was he showed me what I absolutely will not tolerate anymore in my life. At some point, I looked at my mother and I was like, how could she let a man control her so much? I don't get it. I will never be in a relationship like that. I did get in a relationship with that. I fully believe it's because when you say I'm never going to be in something, but that's all you focus on, you're still going to get it because that's what you're focusing on, is that type of relationship.
Absolutely.
At this moment, when I went through and realized, like, oh my God, now I have empathy for my mother. I wanted to stay because I wanted my children to have the perfect house. I wanted my children to have both their parents. I stayed and sacrificed myself and my children, by the way, so that way we could have what society said was perfect. I understand that my mom could be stuck. Maybe she has a different perspective, but my empathy around it was, I get why she stayed now, but I'm making a different choice this time. I'm making a choice. I don't know how. I'm not going to have money to my name. I was a stay at home mom. I had to figure out everything while going through domestic violence. It wasn't till years later that I slowed down to do this shadow work and even realized how much pain I actually went through and how much my body held on for me. It wasn't till we had a miscarriage with our daughter that I realized that I really wanted to have a baby with this man who loves me and takes care of me and holds space for me, just so I could experience what a healthy, happy pregnancy feels like. I don't remember most of my pregnancy with my first three children because of the trauma I was going through. Whether it be when I was 4 months pregnant and I told their father, the air mattress is blown up as much as I can. It's not enough. He was upset with me and picked me up and threw me in the back of his car bed, his truck bed, drove me 30 minutes home and threw me out of the bed and left me there. I was 3 months pregnant. I was having a hard time breathing, and that's how he treated the child of his mother's child of his child's mother.
He's
That's
a
the word
child
I'm looking
himself, and
for,
that's
right?
why when I get around,
And
he just
so
smiles and
this is why I'm
shrinks
talking
down.
about shadow work. I can
Can't
look at
stand
that
people
and say,
like
like,
that.
life was not fair, life was horrible, none of us should have had to gone through that, right? That is one perspective. Another perspective is when he told me, you will be nothing without me,
Which they always
there
say
was
that.
a part inside of me that said, watch me. Watch me become something without you. I will prove it. Right? That to me was the moment when I turned on and started to believe in myself. I wanted to not only prove it to him, but I also wanted to prove it to myself. I can now go back to that moment and say, wow, I am so proud of you that you made that brave decision to walk out that door and choose your future. If I didn't choose that, if I will take the power here, if I didn't choose that, I would have not met this man. I wouldn't be in a happy marriage with happy children because I wouldn't have chosen what seems so hard. And trust me, I look back at those moments and I don't know how I got through with having little tiny babies, right? If you're in a similar situation, this is connected directly to something that happened in your childhood.
Yep.
I see that I accepted a man to treat me that way and tell me how it is. And maybe you're a man and it's the opposite. I have plenty of clients that are men that women treat them this way. I'm not just saying this happens only to women, I'm just expressing my story. But when we slow down and we see why we think it's normal and why we think it's okay, is where you find where the key is, where the part that was broken all along that needs to be fixed. And this is how you become the generational healer. This is how you step into your future, not what everybody else is doing. Look at your parents, look at your grandparents, look at generations before that. They have all improved it just a little bit so you could take the next piece and and improve it there, right? Now my children will take the next piece. That's the generational healing.
Wow, I didn't even realize this. Okay, time. Okay, so
Yeah,
I,
we're gonna have to wrap this up here in a
I
second.
here's what I want to say. What I got from today. So when I was able to track this memory, and when Jen was able to do what she does, which is she can see the unseen, she can as a medium, as a shamanic reverend, just how she is, and if all of that doesn't, if that's not a thing that you believe in, as a woman with dyslexia, even neuroscience says people with dyslexia have more visual receptors, and I will tell you, every single shaman that I have ever connected with has dyslexia. So here's what I realized, and here's what I would like to share with you. Because I was a child, because I had this memory at 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old, whatever the age is, because I felt consciously in that moment safe, because my mom said I didn't do something correctly, that childhood memory was imprinted in my body. What I didn't know then that I know now is that created a belief, not only that I'm not good enough. I want for you all to just tune into this and hear me for a second. And maybe this will change your life and shift something majorly for you. Not only was the belief I don't belong, no, I just gave it away. Not only was the belief that I'm not good enough, not only was the belief that I'm insufficient, I'm insignificant, I'm disappointing people, the belief that I was carrying, not from that moment, that planted the seed. Multiple times this happened. Then another trauma happened, and that affirmed it. And then somebody left, and then that affirmed it. And then a couple people passed away, and that affirmed it. And then I went through multiple traumas additionally on top of that. And then we moved into a neighborhood where I did not fit in with people. I felt at a deep and profound level that I did not belong. And I want for you to take a look at your life right now. And I want for you to be open to the possibility that you might belong in a world that is only strong. You might only belong. This is such a fascinating concept for me because it just hit me today and I'm still processing it, but I love teaching things when it's fresh. And I want for you to actually consider this. Maybe you only belong in a world where you're always going because you felt like you didn't belong when you slowed down. Maybe love hurt or love left you or love disappointed or love had consequences. And so you only belong in a world where love disappoints you and hurts you and abandons you and doesn't show up for you. If you can actually take a look that there are different people right now, there's the number's going to fluctuate. There's 161 people. There's 160 people. It fluctuates. There is a world that you now live in as an adult that you feel that you belong in. And when it comes to the world that you want to step into, the way your body is designed, the way your mind is designed, the way that your nervous system is designed, it is so good. Thank you. It is so good if you get what I'm talking about, if you pick up what I'm putting down. There are when we talk about parallel universes. So right now, somebody's watching this and is making money. They know who they are. They've put in an effort for themselves. They have strong boundaries. There's another person who lives in the polar opposite of that world, right? And so we feel that we belong in these worlds because it's familiar. But then we want healthy love. We want healthy financial intelligence and education. We want health. We want physical health, mental health, spiritual health. We want to know that we are good enough as we go. And the challenge is when we tried to step into a different world or to live in a flow state as a child, something happened and we felt that we did not belong in that world that we wanted to step into. And we saw, because of neglect, because of disappointment, because of perfectionism, because of who am I to complain, we saw other people with smiles, other people winning, other people with successes. And we went to the world that we felt that we belonged in, that was normal. And we asked ourselves this question subconsciously: why? Oh, I can feel somebody feels this. Feel it. Why don't I belong? Why do I not belong there? And what I would like for you to consider, what Jen helped me understand, is as a child, when I had two parents who were very, very, very critical, if I had been given context of when you do the chore correctly, I'm not overwhelmed. I feel respected and I flow and I can do the joyful, loving thing that I want to do that makes our home safe and loving and exciting. And when you do this chore, that I'm scolding you because I don't know about neurodivergence, I don't know about your processing speed, I'm just going off of what's familiar because that's how my brain's designed, and I have zero education because in the 80s and 90s this wasn't a thing and beforehand. Because I'm always going off of familiar and meaning making, I can't tell you how important it is for you to know you belong. When you do this chore, you make me feel safe as your parent, and then I want to take better care of you, and I can appreciate what we have, and it alleviates the stress.
Mm-hmm.
I want for you to take a look, if you're open to it, to ask yourself, is there a part of you that feels like you don't belong? And this is where, again, Jen is somebody who can show you not only how to unblock and unlock stories and memories that you have locked into a basement, locked into a door, bolted, got a security team, got landmines, got a helicopter, you got somebody on the roof who's ready to look, you got people with walkie talkies, you got the Doberman Pinscherman, and you're like, I'm never going to be vulnerable. I'm never going to let people into this door. I'm never going to show people this emotion. I'm going to live in must be nice land. I'm going to live in nobody understands land. I'm going to be living in who am I to complain land. I'm going to live in resentment protects my joy. Resentment protects my happiness, because if my life has to be hard in this way, maybe other people's life has to be hard. Or I'm going to be a really good person. And if people don't see my goodness and my heart and how I'm shrinking and how I'm not making eye contact and how I'm lowering my standards, if people don't see that I'm a good person, I'm going to swallow that resentment. But then when I get around a different person, I'm going to dump that resentment onto them. If you want to shift this pattern and get baby, you belong and 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 you belong. Oh, you're not hearing me? You belong. Hold on a second. You belong and you belong and you belong and you belong and you belong. You belong. You fit in. You are the standard. You can be. I've worked with thousands of people. I have created breakthroughs. I have said the correct combination of words to literally save lives for people. I've
Mm-hmm.
helped people start businesses. I've helped people travel. I've helped people fix their relationships. What we've done together when we coach people, even more so, big milestones. If you are somebody that is realizing the choices you're making, the way that you manage your finances, the kind of relationships you attract, the choices that you make are from a space of, I have to prove, don't you dare disassociate, because I feel like somebody is, and your hands are getting itchy. You are operating from a space, I have to overcompensate to prove that I belong. I work hard to prove that I belong. I earn money to prove that I belong. I dress a certain way, wear name brands to prove that I belong. I shut down all of my emotions so I don't offend you to prove that I belong. Baby, if you want to release that story, this is your opportunity. There's a couple different ways. I'm going to pass it back to Jen so she can tell you how, and we're going to wrap up because it's 1:25 in the morning.
So, one way that you can do this is by joining the integration room, and we put a post up that each week we work on a theme. And this week's theme is when pressure reveals the pattern. And that's what we've been talking about. The pressure that Nikki started with this morning was, I'm tired of not hearing what my wife or somebody says to me because, and he's also identified now that this isn't just a Nikki problem. This is, you know, very in society, men in general. We had a moment this
Or
week.
women like the troll who was in here earlier that I had to mute.
Oh
If you
yeah.
had a mom, if you had a mom,
Yeah.
by the way, that did not show you empathy and you live in your masculine energy, guess what? I love you. And do you know where your mind goes to every single time that you get into an argument? What about me? Don't you see how hard I'm trying?
Yeah,
Who are you?
I'm going to
All of it.
read to you what we posted just in case you haven't had a chance. If you're in the integration room, it's completely free. There's always a free lesson. We have a whole ecosystem that will be explained
We're
to
here to
you.
support you and you
But
have community.
this week's lesson is going to be around when pressure reveals the pattern. So pressure has a way of showing you what is really going on underneath the surface. It can reveal the story you fall back on. Well, that's just the way it is. This always happens to me. Those are stories that you are falling back on and the habits you default to. So the reaction that gets louder and louder and the places where your body and mind still go into protection when life is uncertain, emotions, and they become more intense. So, this is why this week really matters because pressure does not just test you, it shows you something. It shows you that you still need awareness, you still need honesty, and there's a chance for leadership here. So inside the mindset lab, when you come into the integration room, Nikki has his class that was posted yesterday, and he is working on how pressure reveals the mental pattern. So the story you tell, the habit you default to, the fear, the assumptions, reactions that get louder when life feels like high stakes, this is where we notice how the mind can like shape behavior before we even realize it.
Or
Like
you even know
the
in
example, like
milliseconds.
the example we said earlier, if I just told you, "Excuse me, you need to come here right now. We're going to have a conversation." What happens to you? Your mind already started thinking like, "Oh my god, I'm in trouble," right? So that's when you're going to come to me. Tomorrow we're having the integration room lesson, in the regulation room, and that's my room. That's where we work on the somatic practices and the regulation. So when you come into my classroom, so the integration is your homeroom, right? You come in, you get your lessons, the calendars all posted there. Then Nikki's classroom is called the mindset lab, and my room is called the regulation room. So we are looking this week, starting tomorrow, I'm posting my videos and the questions and all of that. We are looking at how pressure reveals the body's pattern. So the tension, the urgency, the shutdown. Look, I'm just an idiot. I'll just go hide and I don't do anything right. Or are you the over explainer? Are you explaining, yeah, but, right? And the need to stay in control. That's what we're going to discuss. And this is where we start noticing how the nervous system responds before the mind has fully caught up. Right?
Yes.
So then we're going to bring this all together on Wednesday inside the integration room. It's free. It's the first link on our bios, either page. When you come in, you're gonna answer 3 questions, and then if we see you're serious, we're letting you in because we only want like-minded souls
Yeah,
that
it's a
want to come
really
in
beautiful community,
to do this work.
and here's the goal with what
But
we're
I
doing.
I do want to get to the integration, and then we'll get to the
Yes,
goal. Okay,
absolutely. Let's do it.
I gotta control
Let's
the
do it.
ADD sometimes. So
Yes.
the integration room, when we come back to the integration room, so Friday we always make the announcements of what we're teaching. Saturday's the mindset lab. That's when you go into that classroom. It's no more than 10 minutes. I'm telling you, we make these videos like 10, 15 minutes at most for the VIP who want to do even deeper work. Put your headphones on, do the dishes, listen to the lesson of the day. Saturday is the mindset lab. On Mondays, you come and regulate. Mondays are hard. That's why we put the regulation room on there, right? Come in and regulate. So this week's regulation room, we're working on like checking into where the tension, the urgency, the shutdown is. And then we're going into the integration room on Wednesday, and we're going to bring these two things together because pressure does not reveal what you think. It does not just reveal what you feel in your body, it reveals how those things shape your choices. That's what we've been talking about all night. And this is shadow work. Your relationships, your self trust, and your next move. So this week is about noticing what gets louder when your life feels tight and learning how to meet the pattern with more awareness instead of judgment, more honesty instead of avoidance, and more self leadership instead of autopilot. So, the question we're asking everybody that I'm going to leave you with is, as you move through this week, sit with this question. When pressure rises, what pattern gets revealed in my mind? My body and my behavior. So Nikki realizes this week, right, what we were just discussing, and we will post this inside the integration room. This will in my classroom. This is Rev Gen with Sunday. We're just moving a little bit over into Monday. But this is the conversation I want you to check in with. Like Nikki, for him, we used his as an example tonight, realizing he's having a hard time hearing, and he's tired of people saying, "I already told you that. I said this to you. I explained it to you. Why aren't you getting it?"
And it's wild how many other men carry this.
Yeah, we had one incident this week going with our 18-month-old, and I asked him to change her diaper before we left and change her outfit. I had a very busy day, already running around doing errands, came in and had to find our new insurance cards and wanted to get a quick bite to eat. So I asked him just to do this one thing before we left. We get in the car, and my son's like, "Woo, she is ripe." And I'm like, it's probably just because of her diaper. Like, just, her pants. Maybe it's lingering a little bit. And Nikki goes, I forgot to change her diaper. And I was like, you had one thing to do. Like, we're leaving for the doctor now. Now she's got orange juice all over her shirt. Her, diaper's full, right? My old pattern wants to step in and go, oh my God, we're not going to be perfect and presented to the doctor. What are they going to think? Versus, slow down, Jen. Do we need to go into that moment? Which I did do this. I was proud of myself. Took a deep breath. I didn't say much on the way to the doctor, but I was realizing, you know what? He had 3 clients this morning. I walked in right as he was getting off of one. He needs usually like 30 minutes to process. He gets very excited when he's working with you guys, and he gets his notes together and he starts thinking about it. So I kind of bombarded him too, and I know his ADD has a hard time doing more than one thing at one time. So that is also on me, and I take accountability. But there also needs to be a way where it's not all on my shoulders. I'm going to have empathy for myself too. Where can he step in, and like, how can we discuss this? But we'll do this after the doctor's appointment. So we get into the doctor's appointment, and yes, I am intuitive and I'm a certified Reiki master teacher. We get into the doctor's appointment, and the this other couple walks in, and the husband goes, "Oh shoot, I forgot to," and the wife goes, "You had one thing to do," and Nikki just looks up and he's like, "I'm
And
not alone."
in that moment, you know what's funny is like when you disconnect in a relationship and then you catch something, like I'm looking at her and I'm like, she's not going to make eye contact and acknowledge that this is like a thing that's going on right now. And then
Well, I was
in
doing something else too.
mindset for me is, I think this is actually, because I've seen this as a father. I've learned a lot being a father. Is that like men are healing a very selfish "what about me" wound. It is very very egocentric. It is very much like you have no idea. And the reason why, if you're a man watching this, do you know why women have no idea how hard it is and what your life is like? Is because you don't open up when it's calm, because you've never experienced that, and we can guide you in this space.
Well,
And
and
women
also, I was
are
gonna say for
carrying,
women,
so much exhaustion and so much, like, do you know, if
and
you're a
I don't
man
have
watching
enough
this,
time to
do you
explain
do
this to
you
you
know, do
again.
you want, oh, toxic man inside information? Do you want some of this? Of course you do. That's why you're here. That's why you're following me. Okay, so I'm going to tell you something. If you're a woman or a man, listen to this. Men have been taught to use women and feminine energy as a regulation tool to dump their traumas, to dump their projections. Toxic masculinity. If you're a man watching this, you're not toxic, you're not in trouble. Toxic masculinity. I'm healing this too. I learned this and I was raised by 2 women. Okay. It is a deep ingrained thing that we
It's
are here to change.
generational.
It is very generational. A toxic man or a woman who had a terrible mother that did not show up for you will go into a space of, what about me? Don't you see how hard that I'm trying? And will have a lot of resentment when, if you just opened up when things were calm, you'd be amazed. And if you're a woman watching this, you are learning to set boundaries so that men can feel and heal and stop pretending that they are robots. So in that moment, that's where I was able to say, this is an opportunity for me, and I'm going to figure out what it is. And if you were part of this live stream at the beginning, a piece of it that I discovered is, I've learned a new tool that I'm not yet sharing with people, that I just discovered. It was just given to me, and it's been amazing for me to release stories. Our bodies have imprints, and I figured out how to release those imprints. So when I went into my hearing and in my ear canals, there was this story where my body's like, I can't hear certain things because people criticize the child version of me. If you're an adult watching this, it doesn't matter that you're a big boy and you drive a Ford F-150. It doesn't matter that you live in a gated community. It doesn't matter that you work 80 hours a week and you have strong hands with calluses, okay? Your child makes decisions, and we prove this to you and show you how to integrate into adult life.
Yeah,
It is
your
it is
inner child
it
is
is
making
it is
decisions.
wild. It is wild to consider
So
that my body could actually shut down because of how much
your
criticism.
body shut down because of your mind, which then chose your decision. So this is why we're shutting down, working on that this week. And
Yes.
that's why I want you to track,
Yep.
when my body feels pressure, what pattern is being revealed. Like, you're reacting the same way, and this is where we want to catch it. Like you're getting defensive, you're running away, right? Why what are you thinking to make your body react that way? So that's why this week's theme in all three classrooms is when pressure reveals the pattern. So we are so thankful for you being here. We hope this helped a lot. Please make sure you give both of us a follow. If you have any questions, please direct message us. And until next time, good night, sweethearts. It's time to go.
Do, 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 do.
Good night, sweethearts. Yeah, it's time to go.
Do, 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 do.
We hate to leave, but we really must say good night or good morning, sweethearts. Good night.
Wow, you got that. You got the feelers and the feelers. All right, lots of love, kids. Take care. Be kind to yourself.